So now the little round table. I like to do that because it makes everybody involved. So I would like you to present yourself very quickly, less than 30 seconds because time is flying, and so we need to be efficient. So let's start with you, Lindsay. So you can present yourself.
I'm Lindsay. I'm actually a professional cricket coach, but I stopped that when COVID came, and I pursued cycling, and now I am representing Vitality Discovery as their lead cyclist for the Western Cape, as well as I'm the ride coordinator for the Pedal Power Association's cycling group. That's me.
Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan. Or should I stand up?
As you like.
So I know I met you guys cycling, so I do cycling and like road and mountain biking now. So yeah. I don't know.
And you are working in the real estate.
Yeah, I'm selling properties in Freedom. That's my job. If you want to buy and sell in Freedom. Oh,
take advantage for that.
Hi, I'm Felix. I helped JB and Aerobic with their website, but I'm also a runner. I love trail running. Like you can probably find me out the time up in the mountain.
And I'm Elizabeth. Say we help them with their website, and I do weight training, and I'm a long distance runner, and that's how we also met because we did track running on Wednesdays. Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's gonna come this It's okay. I'm John Ikanko. I am the founder of Grassroots Youth Academy in Kailicha. We've got cycling, we've got boxing, and then we help kids also with schoolwork. And but then I'm on this side of boxing. I'm a boxing coach. I used to do it as a professional, and then I'm actually a coach now. Boxing.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Luzobo Yanji. I'm also at the Grassroots Youth Academy. I'm one of the trustees. I'm an assistant boxing coach and also a cyclist assistant coach. So,
Thank you.
oh, it's a big, awesome. My name is Cindy Le. I'm the leader of Culture Cycles, which is a bike shop based in Kailicha. But also I'm in another different camp as the founder, or one of the founders of Cycling for All, which is a female cycling team, and I'm a coach there as well.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mimi. Also one of the founders of Cycling for All, which is for a group of young girls that we help and support getting them into cycling. Very much. Trace.
Good afternoon. I'm Alfred Musutu Kewana. I am the founder of PCB Youth Club and the Women's Rugby Club, and now I'm the director of PCB Rugby Club in Langa, which the club was established in 1923. Next year will be 100 years.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci.
Yes.
All right. September is my name. Then I'm a teacher at Siamle Primary School, but I'm also coaching PCB junior part. Yes, I'm starting from the age 7s until 13 years, both girls and boys. Yes.
Great. Basil? Yeah?
Hello everyone, I'm Basil Wolfgood. I'm with PSG. I help people manage their finances. I'm a financial advisor and investment planner. And I am very passionate about sport all my life. I love sport, and that's how I met these Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kyan. I'm 16 years old and I'm competing in mountain biking. And I also do a bit of running, but I'm competing for provincial colors.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudine of the Sky People. I'm joking. I'm just joking. I only cycle to the beach. I'm very much interested and I'm very keen to be part of this amazing team, and yeah, I'm here to learn and to cycle beyond the beach, okay?
Good project.
Hi everyone, I'm Anika. I'm a software developer, but I play in Badgers Football Club on the 11th side, the Sydney team. So,
Awesome.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much for presenting yourself. So I haven't presented myself. So I'm Jean-Baptiste. I started mountain biking
10 seconds.
in the 90s. So it's a long time ago. And from that I studied sports sciences in Nice in France and then in Marseille. And I got a PhD in exercise physiology. I worked on sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass with aging. So I mostly worked with elderly people in the hospital, also with people with bowel disease. So I know pretty well the bowel system and the link with the muscle and the interaction between exercise, nutrition, and physiology. So that's my scientific background, and also on the sport and coaching background. I started in '97 coaching athletes. Quite quickly I had results with a few of my athletes in mountain bike. One of my young cyclists became world champion the year after. So the same year he was world champion, European champion, and French champion in mountain biking, cross country. So, and from that we created a company and we worked with lots of cyclists, mountain bikers, triathletes, mostly in endurance sports. But now we have new projects, and for example we are currently working with a professional sailor, Alexia Barrier, which is one of the 10 women that has done the race around the Earth sailing solo. So 2 years ago she started in Bretagne in France, and it took her 90 days to do the loop around the Earth. And in 2024 she wants to do this same project with a bigger boat with foils, so very fast boats, and she will do the same kind of loop around the Earth with a team of only women's team, and they aim to do 40 days. So we help her with the physical training, nutrition, everything, in order to prepare for that huge project. So that's one side of what we do. On the other side, we train many amateur athletes that just want to improve, to be fit, and to enjoy their sport life. So that's it. So sport nutrition. Let's go to the core of this course. So we will start today with these two first parts: the pillar of fitness, the 3 pillars of fitness: nutrition, sleep, and training. From that we will discuss about what is energy, ATP, muscle metabolism, and yes, it will take time, and from that I will start very quickly to discuss the nutrients part, but that would be probably next Monday, same place, nutrients, and then for the last two final course, hydration, why hydration is so important in sports, and how to fuel your body before, during, and after exercise. So that's the basics. Good to know. Very important for everybody to know these basics. So today it's a lot of physiology, but that's the foundations. We cannot discuss bananas, proteins, and hydration without the basis of physiology. So, introduction. Nutrition, it's at the same time very simple and very highly complex. So, very simple because some nutritionists and doctors, scientists will say you that if you eat 50 different foods every week, you cover all your needs. At least it should be healthy foods, fruits, vegetables, eggs. But if you have 50 of them different, you cover all your needs. That's very simple, and it's the task for next week. I will explain later. But on the other side, it's super complex because we are all different. Different in sex, different in size, different in sports, different in education, culture, and from that, nutrition should be individualized. And that's very difficult to achieve because there are so many parameters in the equation. But we're gonna try to learn a little bit more about how we can tend there towards this individualization. I haven't discussed, of course, the fact that some athletes, some people may also have disease, which creates another parameter in the equation. You can have a pre-diabetes, for example, or you may have problems to lose weight, or you may have osteoporosis, and all these diseases may also create a new parameter in the equation. And from that, you cannot say, okay, you have osteoporosis since few years because you are female athletes, and just eat 50 different foods every week. It won't work it won't be very efficient. So from that, if you want to help these people, you need to go deeper and tend towards something more individualized. And so it means evaluation, testing, and from that build a plan, a project, and that's one of the parts of the other course, Advanced Nutrition, how you can do yourself your own evaluation, for example, your own nutritional assessment. So it's not simple. So now we have a little interactive activity. So we have that's the new thing. we have built a little play. So you need your phone or your smartphone, and you need to open the Kahoot website. And we have there is a little game that you can do with few questions. So I suggest that you can gather in groups of 2 or 3, and from that you will try to answer by teams. Okay?
So you have to log to kahoot.it first.
So have you created your teams? 2 or 3?
Non, ils font pas de team.
Si, c'est mieux.
Non, parce que je vais faire le truc individuel.
Ah bon? So no team, sorry. So it's gonna be individual. Next time, teamwork. Just for your information, Kahoot it's a company from Norway or these countries, and now it's huge because with internet, they work with schools, with universities, with companies, And yeah, it's what we call gamification.
Are you stressed?
So this little game is to have a look on what you know.
So the pin that you have to enter is 420 7328. 420 7328. We've got Felix, Sins, Mimi, Annika, Romane, Isa, Capu, Le, Cayenne, Lindsay, Liz, Claude, Lena, Caroline, Caroline, the intern. Combien de personnes à ça? 16. We are 16 and there is only 15 here. And we have 2 people online. So it must be someone who is not appearing.
Oh yeah, I'm not on. Oh yeah, I can't get on mute.
You can enter what you want. Yeah. Okay. Who is not on the screen? Oh. Megan.
She's on now.
And I'm coming. Yay. Yay.
Okay. Elle est bientôt arrivée ou pas? Are you stressed? I hope so. Yeah, I'm. This is the goal, to be stressed. C'est bon, Capucine? We are waiting for a teenager. Oui. Tu peux dire que c'est un nickname. Hein. Ça s'applique pas. Hein. Only 3 letters, it will be okay. Alfred, okay. So, let's start. What means ATP?
So what means ATP? You have 4 options at the position: adenosine to phosphate, adenosine triphosphate, or at the phosphate.
Oh, is that turned off?
Yeah.
Oh.
But you have only a few seconds to answer, so.
Right.
Okay.
That's I'm done. Just I didn't answer the question, so it's okay. It's the
Next.
Next question. So that's the leaderboard, so you have to be quick. The faster you are, the more you have to, in order to be in the leaderboard, you have to answer quickly and of course the good answer.
So, second question.
Let's do it.
So, second question, true or false, is adenosine triphosphate the primary source of energy of cells in the body?
Is adenosine triphosphate. Tu peux répéter en anglais s'il te plaît pour les gens parce que là ils voient à l'envers en fait. Is ATP the primary source of energy of cells in the body? True or false?
Okay.
So what?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Next question, it's a quiz. During a soccer match, your body relies on which kind of metabolism to produce energy? Anaerobic, aerobic, anaerobic plus aerobic, or none of them?
All of them.
Ouch.
Good. It was both of them, of course.
C'est encore plus dur pour ceux qui sont en ligne parce qu'ils l'ont à l'envers la question. Il faut que tu te mettes à côté pour lire la question. Micro, s'il te plaît. Non, c'est pas celui-là.
So next question, what need muscle cells during a long endurance exercise, something like 1-2 hours? Is it glucose, fatty acids, glucose plus fatty acids, or none of them? Of course, it was glucose plus fatty acids because we use a mix of energy. Okay, so we have Felix leading the competition with Isa and Meg's third. Okay, question 5. What is the best source of proteins among these foods? Bananas, eggs, coffee, avocados. Quite easy, but we will see. Oh, you are fast, guys. So eggs. So it's good. That was the good answer. And leaderboard, Felix is still leading at this time. All right. Next one. So athletes need proteins in order to 1. Have energy, 2. Build muscles, 3. Digest quickly, and 4. They don't need proteins. What do you think?
They don't need.
Good. It was, of course, to build muscles, mostly. Question 6. So, same leaderboard. Up 3 place, Claude is the highest climber. So, Claude is coming back. Okay, 7. Which of these is not a sign of dehydration? So, frequent urination, decline in performance, muscle cramps, or dark urine. Which is not a sign of dehydration.
Yeah, it is.
Good, of course it's frequent urination because having frequent urination means your body is well hydrated. Alright, since it's climbing, a 3 place Cayenne is the highest climber, so yeah, good job. And last one, so what is called the second brain? Is it nerves, is it bowel, is it eyes, or is it heart? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's a mix of questions. Of course, it's bowel because there are lots of neurons in the bowel, and the bowel produce lots of neural hormones. So that's why we call it the second brain. All right, so now the final ranking, the podium. So third, it's Megs. Well done, Megs. Second, it's Isa. And first, Felix, of course. Well done. All right, well done, guys. So that was 2 questions about the course tonight, and you did very well. We are proud of you. And Felix, now you can go because you know everything about nutrition, so it's fine. You can leave. Oh, well, all right. Let's go on with the presentation. So I will go on with this first part, which is, let's say, kind of introduction to this course. That's what we call at WTS the 3 pillars of fitness. And these 3 pillars are relying on, of course, regular training, regular physical activity, which is very important, of course. For athletes, but athletes usually train on a regular basis. But for more sedentary people, it's a real challenge to have a frequent physical exercise. That needs motivation, that needs goals, and it's sometimes very complex to achieve. But it's definitely a very important pillar, very important foundation for being fit, for being healthy. Second one is sleep. And because we spend, let's say, something like 25 to 30% of our lives sleeping. Sleep is so important for the body to recover, for the nervous system to produce hormones. So definitely sleep is super important for everybody, but mostly for athletes who needs to recover quickly from every training. So I'm not going to focus on that one, but definitely it's the most second important pillar. And the third one, of course, is nutrition, because we eat every day several meals. There are so huge amounts of foods that are going from our mouth through our bowel every year. Can you think on a year basis the quantity, the number of tons of foods and drinks and that goes through our bowel? It's so important and so huge that nutrition is definitely a very big part of health, of performance, but also today we know that nutrition can help to cure some diseases and for example mental disease. There is definitely links now that have been proved scientifically between bowel health and depression, for example. So that's why we started with nutrition, which is a very important pillar. And from my experience, I've seen 2 different dynamics, which are written down here. There is a vicious cycle that we can see, for example, in elderly people, and on the opposite, a virtuous cycle. And I will explain this concept. Sometimes with elderly people, we see people that have less energy, that are more sedentary, and sometimes something bad happens. For example, they fall and they break their hip. That's very classical with elderly people. And from that, they lose muscle, they lose their fitness, they lose energy, they eat less, they sleep bad, and it's a down spiral. And they are spiraling down like this, and it's very bad. And for more younger people, you will have probably experienced that the less you train, the less you are motivating to train. So and when you train less, your sleep is not good as it was when you were training on a regular basis, and on your nutrition you are less focused. And on the opposite, when you train more frequently, when you have goals, when you are motivated, when your fitness is getting better, you feel that you are going in the you may have a peak, reach your peak in your preparation, and from that you get motivation to go to sleep earlier, to be very careful about what you eat, and that's what competitive athletes quite often live. They are in this virtuous cycle. They train often. They are very careful about their sleep, about their nutrition, and the fitter they are, the more motivated and the more focused they are on these three pillars. And it's two opposite dynamics, and it's very difficult to be in the middle. Either you are in the virtuous cycle, or either you are in the vicious cycle. Being in the middle is quite difficult to achieve. And you probably see many people in your families or in your communities that are doing absolutely nothing about physical activity, and that they don't really care about what they eat or what they drink, and of course their sleep may be impacted negatively from that. So that's the first, the introduction, but you have to keep that in mind. Being able to perform, improving as an athlete relies on the three different pillars, and all of them are as important than the other one. Because if you train a lot, but you sleep bad and you don't care about your nutrition, you won't improve that much. You will probably get injured quickly or be overtrained. That's it. And on the other side, what can I say is that the three pillars are interconnected, because if you train more, of course you are tired. If you are tired, you want to sleep, and your sleep is better. If you sleep well, you have more energy and you train better. That's why these two pillars are connected. On the other side, down, if you have the proper nutrition, you may improve your sleep. For example, it is well known that having huge meals with lots of proteins, lots of food to process in the evening, it will probably impact negatively your sleep. Of course, sleep is also linked to nutrition, because during sleep, that's the moment we process many things. We process many foods in our bowel. We produce many hormones like growth hormones. So sleep is connected to nutrition, because it will during sleep we will metabolize what we have eaten during the day. And last, of course, when you train, if you don't hydrate or eat the appropriate food, you will probably have a bad training, a bad competition. And on the opposite, training will have an impact on your nutrition, because you will be probably more careful about what you eat, or try to understand how your body is working, and what he needs about nutrition to be more efficient. So this concept is the base, and from that, it's 6 p.m. Perfect. So we will do a little. So second part. Now we are going deeper, and so you remember during the little kahoot game, there was a question about ATP. So ATP. ATP is very, very important because ATP it's adenosine triphosphate. It's a molecule, so it's biochemistry, and it's the only energy currency, if we can talk about ATP like that, used by cells. So every cells in our body, so there are billions of cells in our body, nerve cells, muscle cells, bowel cells, they rely on ATP to work. So ATP is what is produced by all the power plants we will discuss later that are producing energy for our body to maintain physiological function and to be healthy and to be efficient as athletes. So very simply, but there is a reaction, a biochemical reaction, and the breakdown of ATP, which is stored in the cells, to ADP is producing energy. So you can see on this graphic that we need energy from food to produce ATP from ADP, and then when breakdown of ATP occurs, it releases energy for cells. So it's a process going all the time, and we are all the time rebuilding ATP from ADP. And it's the basic reaction that helps us to have energy all the time. So our body, we are, as human beings, we are relying on oxygen, and oxygen is a big part of the process. So as you can see, from oxygen and food, these two type of products are, after digestion, after a long process, going to the cell. And in the cell we have little power plants which are called mitochondria, in which there is many chemical reactions that are occurring and that are producing ATP. So in the mitochondria, and we have billions of mitochondria in in our body and in our cells, all these mitochondria are at the center of the mechanism, producing ATP from oxygen and food for the needs of our body. So for example, an endurance athlete has much more mitochondrion compared to a sedentary people. And these mitochondria help him to produce much more energy for training, racing, and whatever, and recovering from exercise. And the final product of course of nutrient intake, oxygen, is water and carbon dioxide. So from the cells, every cells in our body is incorporating nutrients, and mostly glucose and fatty acids, and metabolize them, and from that the cells are excreting, releasing water and carbon dioxide, which is found in our blood and then in our pulmonary system. In this graphic you have this part in the mitochondria, which is mostly relying on oxygen to produce ATP, but we also have this little diagram which is about glycolysis, which is another metabolism for our body to produce ATP, but without oxygen. And I will discuss that with the comparison between anaerobic and aerobic metabolism. You probably have all heard about that, and it's a very important concept in physiology, and of course it has from that we can discuss and understand better training, nutrition, and so on. So our cells have two main ways to produce ATP. One is anaerobic, without oxygen. So from glucose, there is an incomplete combustion of glucose and a production of 2 ATP. So one of the products of this metabolism is lactic acid. So you have all heard about lactic acid, which is a byproduct of anaerobic metabolism. It's in the cytoplasm, in the cell, and we call it glycolysis. So from glucose, the glycolysis reaction produce energy and lactic acid. So I will explain when this metabolism occurs just later. And on the other side, we have the aerobic metabolism, which relies on glucose and oxygen, and with a complete combustion, a high production of ATP, because with the same amount of energy, there is 36 to 38 ATP that are produced, so it's a lot more efficient. And the byproducts are CO2 and H and water. It mostly occurs in the mitochondrion, and it's also a glycolysis, but aerobic glycolysis, with many different reactions that you probably have heard of it, like the Krebs cycle or the electron transport chain. So it's very complex. It's deep biochemistry, but it's fascinating because it's fascinating to see how our body has adapted to the environment, to be able to run, to cycle, to swim, and to face life. So this graphic is very interesting because it links our metabolism and the different ways we have to produce energy to the duration of the exercise. So on the left side of the graphic is the very short exercise, which requires high power, and it's like 100-meter sprint or weightlifting, all these kind of sports, which are very short and super intense. For this kind of exercise, which are just few seconds, less than 10 seconds, our body needs mostly use free ATP. So we have ATP stores in our body. We use them to be able to run so fast for a 100-meter sprint, for example. But the issue with that metabolism, it can't last. After 10 seconds, you have no more ATP and you can't go on with your exercise. That's why a second metabolism occurs. It's this one, violet one, and it's exercise that needs power and short duration, like 400 meters, run, boxing, all these kind of exercises that last till, let's say, 1 or max 2 minutes. So during this kind of exercise, we mostly use phosphagen system and anaerobic glycolysis. So that's you can see, for example, 30 seconds max. For example, on the track, it's let's say 200 meters, depending on the level. But 200 meters, it's faster. Relies on a mix of, at the start, free ATP, then phosphagen, and then glycolysis. So we always use a mix of energy metabolism to produce the ATP we need for the movement. And last, for endurance exercise that are more than 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, of course 2 hours, it's mostly aerobic system and oxidative phosphorylation in the mitochondria, and we produce lots of ATP from that. But the issue with this metabolism is that we can't produce so much power. The power we deliver is quite low compared to that one. So that's it. We always use a mix of energy, a mix of metabolism, and our body is super efficient to choose which one is the best regarding the task. And of course, training mostly, a little bit nutrition can have an influence on that metabolism, and I will show you how. So that's mostly this graphic is very interesting because it will mostly interest endurance athletes, but many sports, lots of sports have an aerobic, an endurance base. For example, let's talk about rugby. Rugby, how long is a match?
80 minutes.
80 minutes?
Yes.
80 minutes. So 80 minutes, if we return to the previous graphic, you can see it's here, probably here, so it's mostly aerobic. But of course, there is some times in the game where you will have to push very hard for a few seconds. So from a base of endurance, you have some moments where you need to produce high power for 5-10 seconds. So many sports are a mix of different kind of metabolism, and that's why to be a complete athlete, you sometimes have to work different things. But let's go back to endurance. So that's a very important concept in endurance. We have two kinds of energy substrate that helps to produce energy in the mitochondria. It's of course carbohydrates, and in the blue, and fatty acid triglycerides, so it's fat, in the pink. And you can see when the exercise gets more intense, the percentage of fat is decreasing, while the percentage of carbohydrates is increasing. So the faster you go in endurance exercise, so it's few minutes, it starts from let's say 3-4 minutes to 1 hour, 2 hours, 9 hours. The intensity, yes, is key to understand what kind of mix our body uses to produce ATP. So for very low intensity exercise, like for example walking, we use something like 30% carbs and 70% fat. Then, if we increase the pace, something like light running, the percentage is changing a little bit, and then at 40% VO2 max, which is something easy running, you have a mix 50-50. That's easy endurance, like jogging, and for many trained athletes, it's quite easy. And our body uses a mix of energy. And then, if we increase the pace, the percentage of carbs is increasing, and the percentage of fat is decreasing. So that's for endurance athletes, that's super important, because the idea is to improve your endurance. You have to make these curves, how can I say, go this way. So the crossing, which is called the crossover concept, the crossover should be not after training, not 40%, but maybe 50 or even 60. Because if you are able at 60% VO2 max, able to use lots of fat, it's a lot more efficient, because we all carry several kilos of fat, and carbohydrates we only have few hundred grams of reserves as glycogen. So the relying on fat is very, very efficient for endurance athletes. So hopefully you have properly understood that.
So
It's
how
not
do you
simple.
delay that crossover?
How?
How do you delay that crossover?
How do you delay it? I would say to be simple, maybe over simplistic, that you need probably to improve the number of mitochondria you have in your muscles. And to obtain this effect, you need to train just before base endurance. So that's the foundation of your endurance. You will produce, your genes will be activated and they will try to produce more mitochondria, and with more mitochondria you will be able to burn more fat to produce ATP. That's the simple answer, but then from that we can discuss for a very long time these topics. But for sure, just to be very, that's applied physiology, every athlete, whatever the sport, either boxing, either rugby, either triathlon, either cycling, the base is endurance. We are aerobic animals, and our system is built to be able to run, to walk, to cycle for very long hours. We just have to choose the right pace and have the proper hydration and nutrition. But that's our genes, our genetic profile is built for endurance. So energy needs of athletes. Our needs as athletes is linked to is related to our age, of course, to our sex, to our body weight, to our training volume. There are many parameters. But for example, age, babies when they are just born have a super high metabolism because they grow so fast, and they need lots of energy to produce all the ATP to be higher, taller, bigger, and so the metabolism of babies is super high, and from teenager it slows down, and elderly people have a very low metabolism, especially if they are sedentary. Sex is also part of the equation because, for example, males have that's physiological, usually more muscle mass than females, and muscle mass is a very high consumer of energy to be rebuilt all the time. In order to maintain your muscle mass, you have to rebuild it all the time, and you need lots of energy for that. So that's why rugbyman probably needs to eat a lot more than tiny gymnastics, tiny gyms. Of course, because of their high energy expenditure, metabolism of athletes is usually bigger than average people because of training. Training is increasing a lot our metabolism. To be very specific, that is an example from Japanese athletes. It's a study of energy intake for males and women with a comparison between sports, because of course the kind of sport you do and your body weight has a huge influence on your energy intake with food. So for example, for males, gymnastics athletes are in this around 60 kilos, and they have an intake which is probably around 2,500 kilocalories per day, and on the opposite, judo or cyclists are in the 5,000 kilocalories, so twice compared to the gymnastic for the same body weight. So yeah, the kind of exercise, the kind of effort is a very important parameter, and of course the body weight, because the bigger and the heavier you are, the more energy you need to maintain your physiology and your muscle mass and your bones and everything. So that's an example. And for females, you can see we have the same tendency, but as you can see, the graphic is slightly different, and the average is more in the 2,500 to 3,000 compared to males, which is higher. That's mostly because of muscle mass, because as I said, muscle mass is a huge energy consumer in the body. Okay, we are in time. Just to conclude about these physiological aspects, just to resume. So our body is functioning 24 hours 7. We need to produce energy all the time. Of course, when we are very active, like doing a rugby training session compared to sleeping, our energy needs are slightly different. But we need to produce ATP all the time. And this process relies mostly on the aerobic system, which is at the core of our cells in the mitochondrion. And these mitochondrions needs oxygen and glucose. And this glucose comes from nutrients, so it can be from carbs, but we also can produce glucose from fat or from proteins with mechanisms like neoglucogenesis, which are mechanisms that allow our body to produce glucose from fat or proteins, for example. But the main source is, of course, carbs. So that's why we can now introduce the nutrients, which are the base of the nutrition. So there are 6 categories of essential nutrients. I will start with water, which is probably the most important, because our body is something like 70% of water. So if we are getting dehydrated and the amount of water we are storing in our cells is decreasing, it's bad, because quite quickly we have issues, renal issues, many problems. So the most important thing to stay alive is to be properly hydrated. And we find that of course from water, but also from food, because in fruits, in vegetables, in many foods there is water. Okay. And from that we have what we call the macronutrients, so proteins, mostly fish, eggs, meat, but also vegetables, grains, and so on. Proteins, carbs, and fat. So carbs, cereals, fruits, and so on, and fats, it's of course in fish, in meat, in oils, in grains, and these 3 macronutrients categories are one of the base for energy, because we rely on them to produce energy in our body. And then we also need to optimize all these biochemical reactions in our body, and there are hundreds of biochemical reactions in our body. We also rely on vitamins and minerals to be efficient. For example, vitamin C is super important for many process and for the Krebs cycle in the mitochondria. We need vitamin C to execute these reactions. These categories, we're gonna discuss them the next course, and we will spend more time on each of them in order to properly understand what we need as people, as athletes, to be healthy and efficient. So for today, we have finished the course, and I would recommend for next time, whatever, if you're coming or not, to try to write down all the type of foods you need, and try to see if you reach this goal of 50 different foods in 1 week. So it's not so simple, because you usually have the same kind of breakfast, the same kind of lunch, and but it's an interesting target, because it's of course having a properly balanced food relies on diversity in food, diversity in colors, diversity in taste, and reaching 50 is not so easy. So that's the homework for next week. Write down every day the kind of food you eat. We don't need to calculate the weight or the amount, just the type of food. You eat an apple, 1 apple. You eat a banana, 1 banana. You eat 2 eggs, 2 eggs. That's it. Simple, but interesting. So that's the homework. Drinking as well? Yeah, drinking as well, because you may have like a kind of liquid food. So of course it can be fruit juice, but wine is also can be considered as food. Everything, alcohol, supplements. But mostly the 6 categories I was talking just before. Okay, so is Christian here, but he's working in his office. So we want, of course, to thank 180 Lounger for hosting us tonight. It was a great venue for this first inaugural course of the Academy. And next week we're going to organize the second course here, same place, same hour, on Monday. So if you want to go on, just join and just ask. So now there was a little mistake. Question and answer. So that's now we have let's say 15-20 minutes to answer your question. It can be related to the course, metabolism, I don't know, but it also can be related to. It can be also related to our organization. I don't know, the fees, the next school, the calendar, and so on. So. First question.
Yeah. My trainer used to tell me, by the time I was a boxer, that I mustn't take the dairy products, because he said to me it slows down my metabolism. I just want to know if, because that's what I keep telling my boxers or my students, but then I don't know the background of it.
Yeah.
Is it?
So that's a very good question, because there are lots of belief, sometimes true, sometimes false, about nutrition, and all these beliefs are sometimes influenced by the industry. So regarding to dairies, of course, dairies is a natural product. So it can be milk, cows or goats, it can be yogurts, it can be cheese, and it's a good source of proteins, of calcium, of minerals, even vitamins. On my side, and there are more and more athletes that are a little bit concerned with dairies, is the quality of the product, because it's very difficult to know from which cow is it coming, and is this cow a healthy cow eating clean grass in a natural environment, or is it a cow in a factory that is living all its life inside, and that is fed all the time to produce as much possible milk. So the quality of dairy products is very difficult to assess, and that's why many athletes now are tending to skip dairy products and to find either calcium or proteins in other products, like for example eggs, for example vegetables, and that's why we can see now more and more people going to vegan nutrition, because it's supposed to be more healthy, but of course it depends where you buy and where it's produced the product. So that was the first part of my answer. Be careful with the quality of your dairy products. It's probably better to eat less but better quality than eating more but a lesser or less quality. And second part is that milk products for many athletes can be source of let's say kind of allergies. So there are three type of products that are producing allergies in our body. It's mostly egg proteins, milk proteins, and wheat proteins, which we call gluten. And these three big families of proteins, which milk proteins are part of, are in many people creating allergies. And these allergies are the process, and we will discuss about that in a future course, is that when you eat these products, your body doesn't like them very much, and there is a kind of inflammation that is occurring. So it creates inflammation in your body. And when an athlete trains a lot more, this inflammation leads to inflammatory pathologies like tendinitis, like sinusitis, like bronchitis, all these diseases which finish by is, yeah, that's linked to inflammation. And nutrition is a big part of the promotion of inflammation. That's why we are talking about pro-inflammatory foods, and the opposite is anti-inflammatory foods. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit tired. Thank you, Lindsay. So that's why a long answer to say milk products can be good, but be very careful with the quality of the products. So if you own a cow or goat in a garden, probably it's better than a bottle bought in a supermarket and you don't know where it's coming from. Maybe other countries, you don't know, it's in a bottle, you can trace the product. Second, yeah?
Okay. Is it necessary as a potato chips? Is it necessary as an athlete to eat too much potato chips?
Potato chips.
Yes.
That's a very good question. Very specific. I don't think it's necessary. Why? Because of course potatoes can be a good source of carbs, and it's probably one of the best source of carbs, either classic potatoes or sweet potatoes. But the problem with chips is that it's fried, and you have lots of oil and salt inside. So and it's from a healthy product, you have a lot less, let's say, unhealthy products. So of course you can eat a little bit because you like it or because it's convenient, but definitely, and that's probably the most important part of my answer, athletes and people should try to avoid what we call processed food. Processed food, it's foods that are at the beginning very healthy because it's natural products, vegetables or fruits, but the industry processed it to make it tastier, more expensive, and unhealthy in the end. So that's it. So I think it's better to rely on baked potatoes, steamed potatoes, or smashed potatoes instead of chips or fried potatoes. Okay. Thanks for the question.
Jamie, here's one.
Yeah.
What if I take my boiled potato and fry it in coconut oil?
That's becoming very technical. So of course, from a simple, natural, healthy product, one potato, you have a more processed and complex product because basic potato, it's mostly carbs, water, minerals, and few vitamins. But from that, boiling it, frying it in coconut oil, you will add many fatty acid, fat products inside, and if you cook it a lot, you have chemical reaction that may occur, which are not really good. So time to time you can eat fried potatoes in coconut oil, but I would rely on mostly on the steamed potatoes or water cooked potatoes, which are more simple and easier. But we as French, we like to eat potatoes with olive oil, a bit of salt and pepper. That's perfect.
But I know what you mean, like eating chips, because I think if you've done before for me like a lot of exercise and then you're really hungry, you do feel like some chips, or you like sometimes feel like something less healthy, you know, because you're so hungry and it's filling. So it's like almost to do that sometimes because you don't want to like avoid it, but then like I know that I don't feel good, you know, because I ate too many chips, and then I like have to go back to now I must be healthy again. So it's like to kind of balance it.
Yeah, that's a very good remark, and I would add that regarding our how can I say our what we want or when we are craving, our brain doesn't think, and we just focus on one thing, and we want it. And the problem is that the industry has completely understood that mechanism that occurs in our brain. So we tend to be addicted to this product very easily. And just a quick experience that has been done with rats. I think it was in the USA, and they had a different group of rats, and one group they gave them only glucose. So very simple food, very sweet, very energetic, but pure glucose to these rats. And at first they were very happy with that, and they were jumping on glucose and they were eating glucose. Second group, they gave them butter. So 100% fat, not really sweet, but very, very energetic. And so these rats at first jumped on the butter and ate butter. And the third group, they gave them cheesecake. So so the first two groups, they started to find the food in their cage, and they eat a little bit, and when they were full, they stopped to eat. But in the third group, in cheesecake, they cannot stop because their brain was completely crazy with cheesecake, which was a mix of carbs and fat, and of course very sweet. So our brain can be completely crazy with this kind of foods. And potato chips, of course cakes, ice creams, all these products our body, our brain can be addicted very quickly to these products, and it's very difficult to step back. So that's my advice as a coach, is to try to avoid to have these products in your kitchen. If you don't have these products in your bags at the supermarket, and of course in the end in your kitchen, it's a lot easier, because when you are craving, you go on a banana, you go on bread, you go on almonds, but you don't go on chips or ice cream. That's why nutrition starts at the supermarket. What you put in your trolley or in your bags. If you put everything inside, your brain sometimes will just want chips and ice cream.
So,
yeah.
Yes, it is good for us, the coaches. Maybe you can afford some of the things, the product that you need to buy. But I'm worried about the kids that you are training. Then in terms of becoming the professionals and whatever, and healthy in sport. Then in terms of how can they get those nutrients and whatever, in terms of building their body.
Of course, it's a difficult question, because difficult thing, because in order to choose the proper food your body needs, you need to be properly educated first. You need to know what's good for you and less good for you. And second, you also need to be able to have access to these foods. And sometimes in the shops there are only chips, sweet drinks, and the vegetables are in the back of the shop.
Everything is in front.
Everything is in front. But it's a pure marketing strategy to make you buy first these kind of foods, which bring huge incomes to the industry, but is not really good for the population. So I think the first step is education.
But when you say also like the healthy food is actually cheaper, because if you're eating just natural foods like potatoes or like normal stuff, it's cheap. It's more expensive if you're getting chips or food. It's just the discipline.
I think the price per kilogram is probably cheaper with simple natural food than processed food.
The price per calorie, because then the other side gets cheaper.
The price per calorie. Maybe. But you have to keep in mind that unfortunately the goal of the most part of the industry is to make us addicted to this food. So they do what?
Sick to sell medication after.
So they make us addicted, and if we don't care, if we are not cautious with that, on the long term we are getting sick, and then we need medication, and we buy to these companies the medication we need to treat the disease they created. So and it's a very recent phenomenon, because I think before World War II, the industrialization of the food chain was not like it is today. And before World War II, people were eating more natural products, and there were a lot less processed food in the shops and the supermarkets. But now we are in a tendency that the most part of the population is massively impacted by these strategies. When we arrived in South Africa, we were surprised to see so many chips and sweet drinks available in shops, and definitely it's not really healthy on the long term, of course. Other question?
I do this various kinds of sport, like cycling also. I do this Cape August cycle. Three times.
Well done.
And then they always give me, like, make sure that I've got loads of bananas. They said it helps when develop cramps or something. But then somebody told me that a banana to digest in my body takes 12, 24 hours. How far is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you want to be fast during an event like Cycle Tour, you definitely need carbs at some time, especially to climb, to go up all the climbs. To produce this power, you need carbs because you need to produce energy either in the meantime aerobic production and anaerobic production, because for a few minutes you push so hard that you are in the anaerobic zone for at least for a few seconds or a few minutes. So you at some point you need carbs, and our body only stores something like 4 to 5, maybe for bigger athletes 600 grams of glycogen, and this quantity is something like gives us, it's like a tank, and these tanks will probably last 2 hours. So when the tank is empty, you need to intake. So, for example, at Ironman World Championship, which is occurring tomorrow, it's next week. Next week, yes. So Ironman World Championship, Ironman, it's swimming, cycling, and running. The best athletes are something like between 8 and 9 hours of super intense exercise, and there is studies that shows that there is a correlation between the quantity of carbs that is currently eaten during the exercise and the final results. So this correlation says that the more carbs you are able to eat and process while exercising, will probably make you a faster athlete. But on the opposite, and that's very specific to a question, you need to train your bowel to process this food while exercising. That's why now, and we will discuss about that in a later course, the tendency of sport nutrition is to periodize the nutrition. For example, you can start fasted for 1 hour, and then the second hour of cycling you eat and drink more. Maybe you over drink and over eat bananas, bars, and so on, to make your body and your bowel learn to process this food while exercising. And then the third hour you again ride fasted, and so on. And there are many options to tend this kind of mix between training, nutrition while exercising. It can be fasted, it can be standard eating, or it can be overeating while exercising. And that's probably the best, because if you want to be fast, you need to be able to process this food. And I'm more and more convinced that ultra endurance athletes, which are racing ultra trail Cape Town, Comrades Marathon, ultra cycling events, are athletes that are able to process many calories through food during exercise. And on the opposite, less successful athletes have bowel problems. They are blocked stomach, or they have diarrheas, or they have issues while eating during exercise. And more and more, and maybe you know Kylian Jornet. Kylian Jornet is one of the most successful trail running athletes. He's from Spain. He has won several times Ultra Trail Mont Blanc in France. He has won races 100, 150 Ks in the US, everywhere. And recently he won for the third time the Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, which is like a Tour de France for trail runners. and because it's a loop around Mont Blanc, the highest mountain in Europe, 160k, so it's 20 hours of running. And he says his conclusion about his win was that trail running, ultra running, it's running in very nice places with on the side a real eating challenge, being able to eat many calories, process it while you exercise. That's the challenge of endurance and mostly ultra endurance athletes, being able to process foods, calories while exercising. All right, that's it. If you have any other question, you can just send me a message or an email, and I will try to respond as quickly as possible. Again, we thank Christian for hosting us tonight. It was a wonderful venue for our first course. So thank you, Christian. So the next course is next week. So we're gonna discuss. So on Monday, 10th of October, mostly the fat, carbs, protein, vitamins, and your question, and with a simple task to quantify your daily sugar intake. That's just an overview. And very quickly, the third course will be about hydration and with a bit of physiology with cell homeostasis. How cells maintain their volume, and what are the exchange between the intra and extracellular environments. That's the basis of cell homeostasis, and of course hydration is central to that. And very specific how you can hydrate yourself while exercising, either training or competition. But that's definitely a key, especially in hot environments, and probably the World Cup in France next year will be very hot. The next Football World Cup is going to be very hot, so hydration for all these teams is key. How can we maintain proper hydration of our athletes to be successful? And the last one, it will be mostly very, very specific. What should we eat before exercise, during and after? Okay? That's an overview of the...
All the program are here if you want to. You are welcome.
And one last thing regarding the fees, because of course we are business and we need to find a proper balance. So our concept is to say, okay, we want to be inclusive, and that's why we would like to have 50% of our students coming from disadvantaged communities, and we will grant them scholarships. So scholarship is a very low fee to be able to attend the course, and this scholarship will be allowed to organization we are partnering with. So like Buzzy Bees, like Cycling for All, like Nikika, I don't know if they are here, or your organization, Grassroots. So we will build partnerships with all these organizations and grant scholarships in order to be able to spread all this information and all these courses. And of course, the second part for people that can afford these courses, it will be more standard fee. So you can pay either for the 10-hour course, or we think about creating a kind of yearly membership where you will be able to have access to all the courses because you are a member of the academy. So we're gonna set this up, but you can ask, and for the start we are very easy for that, so we can find solutions, because the idea is to create a community and to expand, of course. Thank you very much for attending this event, and see you next time. All right. Bye bye.
my side is old man and the support I'm giving. That's why coaches online.
Okay.
Online CRM.
Okay.
So we said.
Okay, cool. So you watched the
yeah, so
online.
even when there were no other questions, we told them that I answered the email.